So Terry has a tooth that has been endodontically treated, so she's not in any kind of discomfort. She's been in a temporary for a long time for us. I joke with her and tell her it's the only tooth in dentistry that reports an income. That way she stays prepped for us. That way we can demonstrate for you how to do this quick and easily chair side. So ideally, the buccal surface of Terry's tooth is equigingival. So ideally we need retraction. But if we packed cord and used the laser on her every single week, week in and week out, what would happen? She'd quit us.
Yeah.
So I'm just going to use ice.
Yeah.
I'm going to use ice. So I'm going to add Terry as a patient. And we're going to start a new restoration. It's tooth number 3. We are doing a crown. I choose my library. I choose my material and my shade. And we're ready to scan. The tooth does not have to be dry, but we don't want pulling of saliva. So if we have a lot of puddling, we'll want to get that out of the way. If we have puddling of blood, we want to get that out of the way too. I like to hang a saliva ejector on the opposite side. That's going to give me a little bit of airflow. The wand is room temperature and Terry's not, so that's going to help with fogging. So I'll activate the camera and we're going to go into the mouth and start capturing our digital impression. We're going to start directly over the preparation and start moving to the mesial, our mesial neighbor. And now we're going to start our rotations. What's really nice is if Terry needs a break or anything, she can take a break. She's not going to mess anything up. So if she needed to close or cough or whatever, she could do that very easily. We're not going to hurt anything because we didn't cover anything up with powder or any solutions or anything like that. So I'm just moving across the surfaces. I can tilt and get in any angle I want. My goal is to capture 100% of the prep and 90% of the neighbor. And so when I'm done with that, we'll turn the camera off. And what we're going to do now is introduce a bite registration. So you can tell on the buccal surface it's equigingival and the margin is not really defined. It's just because we don't have retraction. That's why. If the tissue's touching the margin, how are you going to see an edge unless you create a moat? I say a moat around your castle. That's what we want. But we'll utilize ice. I have a bite registration that I took previously. And it helps if I put it in right. We'll just have Terry close into that to verify it's good. And now we're going to scan our bite. So the bite registration is covering up the preparation, not the neighbors. The neighbors is the common data that the system will use for alignment. And so now we're going to scan our bite. So I'm going to start over my distal neighbor and start moving to the mesial. I kind of do a zigzag pattern just to make sure I capture all of my surfaces. So it says need better data. What does that mean, guys? Do y'all remember? I'm probably hovering. Probably wasn't resting down. So when it's green, I know I'm good. If it's not green, it's going to tell me what's going on. So when I'm done scanning my bite, what part of this bite's important? The impression of the opposing tooth. This is what's important to me. This is a neighbor, this is a neighbor. So I tell the system what part of this is important. It's the impression of the opposing tooth. Now when I rotate, I can see what's opposing my restoration. This is my opposing tooth. Now we're ready to mark our margin. The system's going to first ask me to verify my orientation. I can make some changes if I need to. Where the margin's very distinct, it's going to be really easy. Where it's not as distinct, I'll utilize ice. But really, these shadows are my margin, guys. It's not complicated, even though it's equigingival. I just get it on there. I don't care if it's perfect, because why? I can fix it if I mess up. Just by pulling it out. I'm a little short here. Let's check this buccal surface and see how well we did. So I'm going to utilize ice here. And just check this area and check this area. So see here, I need to pull it in just a little bit. When we're happy with our margin, we're going to go to design. We're going to see the library tooth drop on here and morph to match the neighbors. looking at cusp height, marginal ridge, minimum material thickness, contact, and occlusion to give me an initial proposal. What am I going to do? Not a lot. I may close an embrasure or bring a cusp out a little bit. Maybe increase some contour. But what part's important is how this tooth is going to function. So let's check our occlusion. A couple high spots. With one click of the mouse, I can adjust the high spots just by circling them. Now I'll hide the model and check my interproximal contact. We're pretty heavy because I have it set at 100 microns. I like to smooth my contacts, so I'm just going to smooth it where it's a little too heavy. And then we'll check our material thickness. Have a little thin spot here on the occlusal surface. I'm going to utilize a feature called the slice plane that's going to allow me to slice into that thin spot, which was right here, and see my opposing tooth. I can see exactly how much room I have to make changes and pull that up. So I was able to check my material thickness, make changes if I wanted to. But really, we're ready to mill it. We go to the mill tab and the restoration's ready to mill.